Hi, I'm Kassy, and this is the Spark Konnect, a podcast about what brings us to life: connection, creativity, courage, and the moments that spark real change. I'll be your host, bringing my experience as a speaker, consultant, and lifelong believer in showing up as your full self. In this series, Arts and Facilitation, you'll hear from inspiring voices, facilitators, trainers, speakers, and everyday humans who are also artists, lighting up the world in their own unique, creative ways. This is your space to reflect, reset, and reignite, because the spark is already in you. Let's light it up. You're about to meet Rick Lozano, keynote speaker, musician, and one of the people who's truly inspired me in my own speaking journey. Rick's known for bringing music into business, creativity into leadership, and soul into every stage he steps on. In our conversation, we dive into vulnerability, engagement, and the power of fully committing to what lights you up. Because, as Rick says, you can't go half idiot. He reminds us that silence from an audience doesn't mean disengagement, that creativity needs room and rhythm to breathe, and that showing up authentically is the real performance. And oh yeah, he sings, and it's as good as you're hoping. This conversation is equal parts inspiration, laughter, and truth. Rick proves that when you blend music with message, your audience doesn't just listen, they feel. Rick Lozano is in the house. Oh my gosh, I just cannot actually believe this. We've been waiting for this day, and here it is. And we're going to have so much fun. And I heard there's going to be some singing and some playing. Maybe. But Rick, over to you. Tell us about you and everything that is happening as you help us find our jam.
Let's see. Well, I am a speaker. I'm a trainer. I'm a consultant. I'm an author of 2 books, and I'm a generally decent human being, but I've got my good days and bad days like everybody else. I love what I get a chance to do with people, and it's just sort of this mix of inspiring people, giving them techniques to help themselves, both in life and in business. And it's a whole lot of fun. And that's what I do in a nutshell.
Oh my God. Well, you inspire me all the time. In fact, sometimes I'm like, is it weird if I like every single post that Rick puts up? Or should I just do like every other one so I don't seem like a stalker?
Stalker. The admiration is mutual, Kassy. I hope you know that, because you're awesome and I love what you do and I've loved it forever. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. And you have been, from the moment that I thought about creating this series for the podcast, Arts and Facilitation, you were on the top of the list because your story is it's relevant to my life and what I've experienced. And I've watched over the last it's been especially the last year, but I've watched the last several years you transform into the keynote speaker that you are today, and what you bring to the stage. I'm like, it's the absolute best. And so for those that are listening that may have not met you yet, can you tell us what you're currently doing today as a keynote speaker and how people get to enjoy music that,
Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna let you do it.
Sure. Well, the majority of my work these days is as a keynote speaker. I still do training. I still do leadership workshops and team workshops, but I just love the keynote space so much. And my signature keynote is Find Your Jam, Create Momentum, Unlock Potential, Rock What's Next. And basically, it's a way to help people and organizations move past stagnation, frustration, and resignation. And what's fun about it is I use this lens of a musician. So if we feel stuck, well, I don't know, how do musicians create something out of nothing? And I've created this model called the RIFF model, which stands for Rewrite, Integrate, Focus, Flow. And we basically follow the same steps to create forward motion that musicians do. And it's so much fun. And, I get to play a little bit of music. Sometimes I bring people on stage. It's crazy fun. And I just am having the time of my life doing it. And it's getting better every single time. And to your point, I've been doing this a while now, and just everything has just got to that point where it's just working so well and just feels really good, fun while I do it. Yeah.
I've seen it and I absolutely love it. And it's inspiring, and the fun that you're sharing with us right now is what you also share on the stage. And so I'm so curious, because it hasn't always been that you've gotten up on the stage and created music with business leaders.
No. No,
It
no.
wasn't always like that, and now here we are. So tell us about what it was like before and share a little bit about how you got to where you are today, if you wouldn't mind.
This is a fun journey, and I'll tell you the actual parts of it, and then we've got something fun to do about it. My background is leadership and talent development, so I've been learning and development for years and years and years. And about 2013, I had a suggestion from my man. Actually, he wasn't even my manager; he was like my great grand boss. And one day he said, "Hey, Rick, bring your guitar to work." And at the time, I had no idea what that meant. And of course, like many of the people on your podcast, I was always told, there's that business over here and personal over here, and never the two shall meet. And I just took a chance and decided to do it. And suddenly everything in my life changed. And it was so funny. This is a fun story I think your audience might appreciate. I had gone to my first ATD International Conference as an attendee. And right after that, I was like, that was great. And I would love to speak there one of these days. Because, I learned some things and I feel like I have some stuff to contribute. And it was right around that time that my leader said, bring your guitar to work. And I had no idea what that meant, but I was, doing the whole yes and philosophy at that time. So I said, why not? So I came up with this idea and it was total BS. Total BS. And I said, okay. And I wrote this proposal for ATD, and the proposal said, oh, first of all, the title was Sweet Caroline, a super set list for sensational learning sessions.
A lot of S's. That is one of the hardest letters to choose
I know, I
to get
know.
right and say out loud. You just nailed it, by the way. Well done.
And it was funny. So I came up with this title, and the proposal was, what do your favorite facilitators and your favorite musicians have in common?
I love it.
Engaged audiences.
I mean, I absolutely love it. Plus, everyone knows Sweet Caroline, and you sang that during that workshop, didn't you?
I did, yeah, of course.
100%.
So
We
anyway,
had to. I mean, I
put
would sign up for it just so that I could hope to go sing that. But anyway.
So I came up with this proposal, and basically I said, what can we learn from the world of music and apply it to the world of training? And, I submitted the proposal, and you and I both know that ATD gets thousands of proposals every year. I didn't realize how hard it is to get picked, but I got picked in my first submission, and I've been doing it like you ever since. And that's where I brought my guitar to work. So it changed everything about what I do. And the more I did it, I was like, this is really cool. I can do something with this.
So when the grand boss, I love that name, suggested that you bring the guitar to work, he wasn't being literal in that moment. He was metaphorically saying that you should.
I think he was being both. And I don't
Oh,
think at that point he knew what that meant.
okay.
I think he saw a spark in me and he said, why not? Like, what can you do here? And he planted that seed. And it was funny because he was so supportive in that journey when I actually started to do it. And then he was like, yeah, totally. Do more of that. Do more of that.
That's so awesome. I remember being around you. We were at a conference together last year, and you were talking to a person who is a DJ, and you inspired him, and now his keynote business is going nuts. Eric Isle, shout out to Eric. I'll have him on the podcast too. But you inspired him, and was some of this story for you, what you were sharing with him too? Because it's so cool when people, they tell us all the time, find yourself and be what you are and who you are and put it there. But then finding that sometimes it's like on the outside, when I see it, it's so obvious that you're
Yeah.
doing what you do. But
Yeah.
yet it wasn't obvious to you as it wasn't obvious to Eric. And he's finding his way now too. And I'm like, am I next? I hope so. I'm working on it. I don't play music though. I just like music a lot.
Well, it's funny too, because I think that we discount how the things that light us up can light other people up. And it's funny because so what wound up happening with Eric, he mentioned that he was a DJ and wanted to do some work with keynote speaking, and I got a kick out of that. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we started brainstorming, and I started giving him some suggestions. And then I did the same thing with another speaker that I know. She's a business analyst, and she's amazing at what she does. Her name is Jamie Champagne. I also knew that Jamie is a surfer. And so one day I sat down, I was like, tell me about surfing. And she just like started going nuts with this surfing idea. I was like, Jamie, where is that? Like, bring that into the work that you do. And so I coached her and helped her just do that. And it's on fire now. She's like crazy bringing this side of herself to her work. And it's really funny because I think that so very often, so many of us are told, again, you got to leave that over here, leave this over here. But I think when we do it right, when we bring those elements of what really, really lights us up to work, it can be fantastic and transformational. And so that's been really fun, helping other speakers sort of figure out what that looks like for them. And, I'm still on this journey of figuring out what it means for me. So it's so cool.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, I just feel like so excited just even thinking about it right here in this moment. My experience has been that because it's acting, that they didn't want it in business. They didn't want me to use the language, but they did want what the performance was.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting from that angle that you've had the experience that they said, yes, let's do that. And I wonder if there's a part of the world that leans into music in a way that's different than they might lean into acting.
I think what people ultimately want, if we're honest, is they want to be entertained. And
Yeah.
and you and I have both sat through boring training. We've both sat through boring keynotes. We've both, maybe they've got great information, but if it's not packaged in a way that resonates with you, it's going to fall flat. And I think what's really funny is, and I remember when I first started bringing my guitar to work, there was this, oh, he's this cheesy guitar player guy.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that.
And don't get me wrong, if you don't do it correctly, there's the danger of coming off like that.
Yeah.
But when I started doing it and figured out the combination that worked for me, I think people realized, no, that's actually good. Keep doing that. And we want that because it's different, it's engaging, and it's fun. And so nowadays I use music to tell stories, to drive learning points. I use music to involve people, to make people look good. And the funny thing is, I think the lesson that I learned is, even though I'm the one primarily playing music, it's a balance of doing it, but not making it about me. It's about telling stories that everyone can sort of relate to. And I've got an example. Do you mind if I grab this here?
Do I mind? I've only just been waiting.
No,
I
this is
love
funny
this.
because this is a song about me, but the way that I use it when I'm telling this story is to make it connect to sort of the journey that we've all had in our careers. And I think if you're anything like me, I don't think you planned to do what you're doing now. Is that probably fair to say?
There was no degree that said you'll teach people how to work online using software that connects people globally. It didn't exist.
Exactly. No.
Exactly.
So I was asked, this is how this actually came to happen. So I did a keynote. Actually, it was an ATD conference in Columbia, South Carolina. And after the presentation, I had this guy come up to me and he said, "Hey, I saw you last year. Great job. How can I be like you?" And I was like, okay, well, whatever. You don't want to be like me. It's crazy up here. But he's like, no, how did you come to do the work that you're doing? Like, how does somebody do that? And my answer was, well, I don't know. I mean, everyone I know did it differently, and no one like that I know planned this. It just sort of happened. And so he says, okay, well, how did you do it? And I told him my story. And at the end of the story, he says, that's cool. You should write a song about it and call it How to Be Like Me. And so I did. And this is a total joke. And so I say, this is the exact process for how to become a singing keynote speaker. And of course, it's totally a joke, but it's funny because later on when I debrief it, I talk about how we all just sort of have these gifts that, we don't exactly know how they work together, but they ultimately do. But Kassy, if you're ever curious, this is the exact step-by-step process that you too can follow to become a singing keynote speaker. Here we go. This is how you do it. Graduate from college with a useless degree. Move to California to set yourself free. Grow your hair long and join a crappy band, and that's how you be like me. Move to Colorado with a girl who's a clown. By the way, that sounds like an insult. It's not. She was actually studying to be a clown.
I get it. Clown school.
There's a clown college.
School. Yep.
Does that say interesting things about me or anyway? Colorado with a girl who is a clown. Break up because you're afraid to settle down. Move on back to Texas for a teaching degree, and that's how you be like me. Move back to Colorado for a woman that you met. Struggle for the bills cause you don't have a job yet. Marry then divorce. See how easy this can be? That's how you be like me. All right, here's where it gets complicated. Quit teaching, move to banking, quit banking, back to teaching, quit teaching, back to banking, get a job, teaching banking, see how that works. Stay a corporate trainer cause you love what you do. Work for a tech company, try something new. No more suits and ties on my body, you will see, and that's how you be like me. Find the love of your life, get married and celebrate. She thinks the song is stupid, but I think it's really great. Become a singing speaker who teaches how to lead, and that's how you be like me. Oh yeah, that's how you be like me. One more time. That's how you be like me.
I love it. I love it. I have heard that now that you've performed it special for me. Thank you. I have heard that and I have loved it every single time. I love it even more today, knowing a little bit about the back story that went into that. First up, there's the inspiration of how do I be like you? How do you get to the music? So is I know riff is the model that you have.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
is there like because there's certain parts of that song, right? There's the first two seem similar, and then you went into a third bit, and then there's the four. It seemed like there were four clear sections in that song. Am I right about that?
Yeah, yeah, you could dissect it that way.
And how do you
I
go
don't.
about? Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, it kind of maybe just because I'm listening that way and looking into it. But how do you go about creating something like that? And yeah, what's the process a little bit, which is so interesting.
I will tell you the process that I'm following now. And it's there's a learning point to this as well. The process that I'm following now is do the things that are fun. Because if I can do the things that are fun for me, I know that there's a way to make it fun for the audience. And again, it takes some crafting and some strategy to how you do that well. But if it's making me laugh and making me, inspired, I can translate that to the audience and then they can see themselves in it. And so, I've got this arsenal of these funny, by the way, I'm a real songwriter, but I've got this arsenal of funny songs. And when I do it, people say, oh, totally. Like that's totally me, or that's totally our work, or that's totally my LinkedIn inbox. And so I think there's that balance of finding what's fun for me and then helping people see themselves in it. And that's where I start. And from there, you just iterate until you figure it out.
Is it lyrics first and then music?
When I'm writing funny songs, it's always lyrics first.
Okay.
It's always lyrics first. When I'm writing my real music, it's almost always the other way around. I start with a guitar riff or I start with just
Okay.
an idea and the lyrics come later. Yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting. I
Yeah.
never really thought about that. But yeah.
It's really interesting. I just recently listened to your LinkedIn inbox message one, and I love how you turned that into when I guess I'm just like that too.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That was actually quite powerful, Rick, in watching that one. Is that a newer one?
I did that, I think, a year and a half ago. So it's relatively new. But yeah, that one was funny. And it was, again, based on what was literally in my inbox in LinkedIn. And I thought, what can I do with this?
Well, the thing too that's so wonderful about it is that you have things that are happening to everyone. It's this universal experience for those people that are on LinkedIn or dealing with social media in a business setting. And then you took it and said, well, how do I make it? This is my story, but it is a common experience. But how do I still make it about them and for them? And the trainer in you was like, and here's what I learned myself about it. I know that was the trainer in you, and it was really
Oh, yeah.
quite
Well,
something.
and as you know, as a trainer, the cardinal rule is, maintain and enhance people's self-esteem. You can't make people look bad. And no one likes to see a speaker or trainer making someone else look bad.
No.
So the trick to that song, what actually was really, really important was I can't just diss people who are sending emails because I have to do it too.
Yeah.
And so I talk about how it's ineffective, but then I put myself and I'm like, hey, I'm out there too. I'm out there trying to figure this out. And that creates a little bit more humanity. So it's funny without being insulting. And I think that's really the balance there.
It's like you have to have vulnerability. You have to have a willingness to be vulnerable. Let's talk about vulnerability because, come on, what it takes to get up on the stage and sing
Yeah.
and play,
Yeah.
and especially in a business setting, what happens when you've got an audience that's just like staring at you? You're not at the club, where people are there with a beer in hand,
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about vulnerability and what it takes for you to be able to do what you do.
It's always something that has to be there. And whenever you're on stage, no matter who you are or what you do, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Always. No matter how professional you are, no matter how good you are, there's always that risk that someone's not going to connect with it. And that's okay. Not everyone will, and that's fine. But it's interesting because when you put yourself out there, you've got to be very careful to not let yourself talk yourself into the fact that it isn't resonating, because different audiences culturally respond differently. I'll give you an example. I did the same keynote in the same week with two different audiences. One was with a medical supply company, and I think the other one was campus dining services, right? Campus dining services was rowdy and loud and clapping, and the medical company, which had a room full of doctors and scientists, they were silent. And of course, on stage, I'm going, yeah, I'm going, okay, is this working? Is this working? And then people just one after the other came up to me at the end of it and was like, that was so fun and that was amazing. And I'm like, cool, why didn't you laugh? But it worked. It worked. And we've got to allow ourselves for different audiences to have different experiences. And again, culturally, people act different sometimes. In a room full of professional scientists, that's going to be a little bit different than, as you and I know, a room full of trainers will be way more extroverted. So it's allowing yourself to put yourself out there. But here's the other trick to it. And I call this my philosophy. You can't go half idiot. You can't go half idiot. Think about it like this. Think about your favorite comedians or even your favorite actors. If they're doing a bit, you got to commit to the bit. Think about like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, of course, is way over the top, but none of it would work if he went only half idiot. He's going all the way over the top, but it's the only way it works. And so what I learned for me was, hey, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to bring a guitar on stage, I have to own it. I have to commit to the bit. I have to find a way to invite people in, of course, and not make it just about me, but I can't half-ass it. I got to go full idiot. And that's what I encourage other people. Like when I was telling you about Jamie Champagne with her surfing, it's like, you've got this great platform that you can lean on. Go full idiot with it. Eric, you're a DJ, bring that, go full idiot with it. And when you commit, when you give it that energy, other people are going to feel it if you do it right. So
Right.
that's my idea on that.
Oh my gosh. Tell me, I love that. I was hoping we would talk about full idiot. What's the origin of the word idiot? Why that choice for that experience?
Yeah, I think it's because every now and then I realized that I was the idiot in that story. And, it was that journey for me going, how do I do this in a way that's not cheesy? How do I do this in a way that works? And how do I do this in a way that doesn't make me look like an idiot?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the idea was go over the top with it, go even further with it. And again, I've mentioned before, there's a balance to it. So that's important, but you've got to commit to it. And when you commit to it, when you give it energy, when you bring it to life the way it makes you light up, it's going to resonate with other people.
I think the idiot is like, the word idiot is such, it's like a mirror into the vulnerability. That word choice is so, because that's how you feel.
And I think
Or
that's
have felt, right?
and I think that's the real trick to all of this is everyone's felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to those moments. Everyone has felt that awkwardness. And so when I do it, I think it's also it's me becoming a little bit more relatable because I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm figuring this out too.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. And sometimes I mess up royally, but I'm on this journey just like you.
Yeah.
And I think when we relate to people in that manner, it builds trust, it builds empathy, and it allows them to go, okay, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say because
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
like me.
It's such a key point that you brought up too about letting the audience have their own experience and trying not to read into what it may or may have meant for them. And I think it's something that we have to learn as speakers, as trainers, because we probably do the job because we like to get in front of people and we like that feedback. And we it's just very difficult to not get it or to seemingly not get it and to allow it. I remember teaching the librarians and it was online and they would not talk. And it's so stereotypical. It's so stereotypical to think that, and they would not talk. But I'll tell you what, thankfully, the program was set up as such where they were reflecting on a discussion board following outside of the live online learning class moments. And they, to this day, are the only group that were writing novels on the discussion questions and the reflections. To this day, it was one of the key things that changed for me because I realized they were listening more than others were, but they were not responding to me live. But that did not mean that they weren't experiencing it in the way that was going to be culturally the best for them. How do you do that? How do you learn that?
Our background as trainers helps with that because as you well know, just because somebody is silent doesn't mean they're not engaged. And what a lot of newer trainers and a lot of newer speakers do is they equate silence with, oh my God, everything's crashing. But the truth of the matter, in training, people are going to ingest information in a way that's comfortable for them. People who are maybe more introverted, they don't want to speak out loud, but that doesn't mean they're not engaged. And if we create opportunities for them to engage in ways that are comfortable for them, breakout groups, that kind of stuff, smaller group settings, people will still show up. So we've got to allow them to have their own experience and not mandate it. In order to be engaged, you must talk out loud in front of 40 people because people are going to go, hell no.
It's like we assume that people are going to engage the way we do. And the type of personality traits that we have as the speakers up there, it's very out loud. Like I learn best when I talk to others. I have a degree in talking, and like, those are the ways that I think that is the best way to learn because that's the way I learn. And it was one of those early lessons early on that, wait, not everyone wants to do it that way. And I need to figure out ways to honor that and be okay with that and not judge myself on that.
And this is even a more prevalent challenge these days because we're more global in the work that we do. And I learned that the hard way. The very first time I did some work in London, my audience in London, culturally, they are much, much more reserved and professional and quiet. And here I show up, and this was me, full idiot in a bad way, over the top, like, hey, I'm Rick. And they're going, oh my.
And you're from Texas.
I know.
That American from Texas slinging a guitar. Did you have the guitar?
I did have the guitar. And I was like, I've got to tone this down just because I've got to match where they are. And I've got to respect that. So there's cultural implications there. There's personalities that we've got to pay attention to. And, we just got to learn. And sometimes we learn the hard way, but that's okay.
Yeah. I like to call that the bumper car method.
I like that.
Oh, wait, not that way. Move over here to the other one. I'm going to go hard at that one. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that did work. Okay. That's very interesting. And you were talking about balance. And I guess that's what we're still talking about, isn't it? Like figuring out that balance. Like, how do you go about balancing full idiot?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an easy thing.
I think balance is so key. And let's go back to this idea about work over here and business over here. I think that we were taught this binary mode of thinking. There's work and then there's personal life. In leadership, there's, you got to be serious or you're going to be a failure. You've got to be strong or you're going to look like you're weak. And there's these binary opposites. And that's just not the way the world works. Mm-hmm. There's nuance right here in the middle. And when we lean into that nuance, everything we do becomes richer. There becomes this subtlety that I think allows people to see that there's possibility here that exists beyond these binary opposites or these polar opposites. And for me, I'll give you another example. I am a serious musician. I'm a serious songwriter. And for a long time, I thought to myself, I can't be writing these silly songs because people won't take me seriously as a musician. And I realized, so what? I look at the Beatles and they had Yesterday and Yellow Submarine. You could not have two opposite songs, but they coexist and it made their catalog richer. And I thought, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I do. Some people will like this. Some people will like this. Cool. I'm going to do it all.
Right.
Let people take from it what they want.
And you know what it takes to be able to write what you're writing. Obviously, you're a serious musician and songwriter. Obviously.
Well, it's funny too. I've often not leveraged that serious side of my songwriting in my work. And it's changing a little bit now. I'm also learning that I can use the quote unquote real music right alongside the funny music to help people learn, to drive learning points, to connect with audiences. And I've learned the stories that I can tell by my own learning resonate with people as well. And I'll give you an example with this. My latest album is called Love Again. And Kassy, it sounds so good. It is the best sounding thing I've ever done. And the reason it sounds so good is, first, the songs are really good. But I recorded it in Nashville with a group of A-list Nashville musicians, just the best of the best. There's one of the guitar players is Kerry Marks, and he is the current musical director of the Grand Ole Opry. So we're talking serious musicians and
favorite places to visit. I love it there. Nashville. If I lived there, I'd go there every weekend.
Oh yeah. But this is fun. So Cliff, my producer is a guy by the name of Cliff Goldmacher, who you need to have on this show. Cliff is fantastic. Cliff is a producer, also a Grammy-recognized songwriter. And when I went into the studio with Cliff and all of these amazing musicians, it required me to step back and allow other people to take my idea and roll with it. And
Mm,
then there was the songs that I said, okay, I'm going to delegate my guitar parts to these professional musicians. And it's so interesting because my ego started to get in the way, and my ego's like, hold on, I'm a
mhm.
guitar player, darn it. This is my guitar part. And I ultimately realized that for the benefit of the song would be better without me in it.
Wow.
And so I tell that story now sometimes. It's about having to let go of your ego and let go of that control so that others can elevate your work. And it's not
Mm,
easy to do, but the music sounds better. So that's an example of how I'm learning over here and applying it to my work over here.
yeah. That's amazing. And what a demonstration of the leadership that you teach others,
Yeah.
that you're doing in your own work and in your own life. I had a moment like my heart went for a second when you mentioned the real music, because in my own career, there was the real training and then the fake online training.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, or the live, if we were live, and I'm like, oh, because we're unalive right now. Well,
And
true, good point. So, let me help you with that. But I really related there, that interesting idea that you have the real music and then you have the silly music. Let's talk just a little bit more about that. What's happening there? Why is one considered real versus the other one not? And I know it isn't the case, but
yeah.
what was that default, if you will?
A musician. Music was never my life calling. I never aspired to be John Mayer. I never aspired to be on tour. That just wasn't what I was doing. And I probably wasn't good enough anyway, but I am a really good musician and a really good songwriter. And I think I discounted that for the longest time.
Mm.
And I think now I'm just learning that this is all me, and the more I lean into it, the more I'm learning about it and the more I can share about it. And I think that's inspiring to other people that they can feel like, "Hey, I've got these things in me too. I'm a little bit of this, I'm a little bit of that." And I can lean on all of it just to sort of move forward. And the real songwriter in me will always be there because
Yeah.
that's just what I do. I can't
Yeah.
help but do it.
It's like you gotta stop comparing ourselves, like you mentioned John Mayer, so obviously you've thought about, well, that was his career and his path,
Yeah.
and that's not me, so we've
Yeah.
all been there and all done that. What's your advice for someone who's trying to figure out what it is that makes them them?
I think lean into what actually lights you up, what you do just default by nature, what just is easy. I mean, the whole strengths thing, there's some validity to it. Go to those places where you're just immediately awesome and then explore. Explore some more. Be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to mess up, but that's where your magic can really come to life. And that would be my advice to just about anybody, regardless of what your line of work is.
Yeah, it's so key, your strengths, and also, like, what you love. Like what you said, what lights you up. I remember when I needed to learn, like, when ChatGPT was first released, I was like, "Oh god, I gotta learn more tech."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of resisted it for a minute, and then it's like, I can't resist it forever. So the thing that flipped it for me and helped me learn how it works was I typed in there, "If Barbie was a webinar presenter, what would the experience be like?"
That's awesome.
I already know the answer to that. And and then, from that was like, "Nuh-uh, uh-huh. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Nuh-uh. Wait." And then, pink slides later, how to prompt,
Yep.
where it
Yep.
tells truths, where it needs a little assistance, and those are the beginning days with it for me. And then it becomes a funny story, my journey into large language models through pink slides and Barbie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people are gonna be like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And then I'm laughing, and we're having fun, and we're learning real things. So
I think,
that's what you're saying, do it. Do it.
and I love that too, because again, you're inviting people into the journey. You're saying, here was my evolution. And I think people see themselves in that. And it opens that door for relatability, for learning. I think when we address people that way, it's just really helpful.
Yeah. Speaking of learning, and as we're coming to our time,
No.
I know, I don't want to keep going. Is there anything you can you can teach us today? We are trainers after all.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can teach us about your process and what you bring to the stage, what you bring to your work as a musician? Just a quick thing that maybe we could try to look at inspiring ourselves or just maybe upping our own game in any way. And thank you for doing this.
Sure. One of the things that I do, and I'll demonstrate with the guitar just because it's something that I do. There is a huge part of any creative work, whether it's creative work as a dancer, as an artist, as an author, and creative work at work as well, whether you're creating new business structures and so on. We've got to put ourselves in the space to create the conditions for innovation, to create the conditions for creativity. Creativity doesn't just happen usually. With songwriting, for example, there's this myth of divine inspiration and you just wake up with these songs, and that's not always true. That's the exception rather than the rule. But what I do know about creativity is that it's as much a discipline as it is an art form. You've got to set the stage, you've got to prime the pump. And one of the ways that I do that with music, for example, is I just sit down and I've got this thing I call Sunday morning songwriting. For whatever reason, me on Sunday mornings with a cup of coffee, I'm on. But I'm not on by default. I've got to prime the pump. And so what I do is I just sit down, pick up a guitar, and I just start playing 4 chords. And there's no reason for it except to go and just to start. And I just keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And then I start singing about anything at all. Like my cat, it's where it's at. She's Jelly the dose, the cat with the most. And I start singing anything that, and I just keep going. And the idea is to just keep going. And sooner or later, after you just keep going, your fingers begin to talk to you. Things begin to connect in different ways. And it's the same process as I follow as a songwriter in general. It's like, just keep writing. Edit later. Don't ask yourself what this means. Don't search for the meaning of life. Just write it and edit it later. Put yourself in that flow state. And that's where your best activities are going to come from. And I think that you can directly apply that to business. You can directly apply that to training. You've got to put in that time to create the space for innovation.
Yep. It's a discipline. And you're committed to it. And then you're allowing yourself the freedom, even when you feel like you got nothing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I don't have anything right now, but I'm going to keep on trying. And oh, look at that. And something's going to happen,
Yeah.
And that reminded me of, I love that. And it's very accessible to every single person listening to us today and just everyone out there. If you know about it, you just do it. And you don't have to be perfect.
No. Some of the stupidest ideas I've ever had are the ones that people are now asking for in keynotes.
That is beautiful. That is a golden nugget right there. Well, Rick, it's an absolute pleasure to spend time with you. It always is. It's always an inspiration, and it's full of music and fun every single time. Where can people get in touch with you and learn more about the incredible work that you bring to the stage and that you do in your life?
Thank you. My easiest way to connect with me is on either LinkedIn, go to my LinkedIn profile, or just go to my website, ricklozano.com. That's Lozano. You can see some of the fun videos there and some of the work that I do. But yeah, and feel free to connect with me, even though I've got that funny LinkedIn song. I do love just connecting with people. So thank you. And Kassy, thank you for doing this podcast. I think it's so cool. And I'm excited to just consume all the episodes with all the cool people you're going to have on it. So thank you.
It's just been absolutely wonderful to have you be part of the mix. And thank you for your time today, Rick. I can't wait to see what else is going to come and all the other things we'll get to enjoy from you. So thank you for sparking us today.
That's your spark. Now go light something up. And hey, if this episode lit you up, share it with a friend, a fellow facilitator, or someone who needs a little more connection in their day. Be sure to follow the Spark Konnect so you don't miss what's next. We've got more brilliant voices, bold ideas, and heart-forward conversations coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and keep showing up.